Welcome to the Munchkin Minute, your twice monthly look into some tabletop gaming news and more. I'm your host, Dan, the Board Game Man, and this is your news for early to mid-July 2024. So first up, we got an expansion to a game I really love. So this one is for Clank Catacombs. So Direwolf Digital is going to release the expansion called Clank Catacombs Layers and Lost Chambers. That one should be out in September, and I believe it should be about $30. Now, they say strange sounds have been heard beneath the catacombs, brave the layers of the enigmatic Sphinx, petrifying Medusa, and formidable living statues. So you're going to have, of course, new powers, new cards, new basically tiles for the adventure, and I'm sure there's going to be some new rules and such. So Clank Catacombs is a little bit different rather than having the board. It's a deck building game, Clank, where you're trying to go down into the dungeon and get out. Clank Catacombs has more of a modular thing where as you're going through the dungeon, you're picking up kind of you're revealing these different tiles and then putting them on the board where you're, in whatever relation you want, as far as like rotation you want, and then putting them onto the board where you're leaving. It's a lot of fun. I absolutely love deck building games. This is probably my favorite Clank version to date, but admittedly, I have not played Clank Legacy, but Clank in Space is still really good. But Clank Catacombs is amazing. They kind of hinted that there may be some at Gen Con this August, so it's possible. So maybe check out their booth. And if it is going to be there, kind of, over the next couple of weeks, kind of check out the, more information of places. They put out more of these press releases as it gets closer and closer as to what they'll have. So if Direwolf Digital says they have it, it would be in my top 5 to try and buy for Gen Con. But admittedly, like I said, I'm not really sure, but it might be, if you're there, maybe worth checking out. If not, just wait to September and definitely pick this one up. You're going to need the base game to play it, but it is going to be a great addition to Clank Catacombs. Next up, Floodgate Games. They're going to release a new word / kind of party / co-op game called Landmarks. This one will be out in August and $20 to $25. I bet this will be at their booth in Gen Con. You'll probably hear a lot of that today from me about things in Gen Con. It being this time of, about less than a month away from Gen Con, almost everything I mentioned today may be either demoable or buyable, purchasable from these publishers at Gen Con. Anyway, Floodgate Games always has a great presence at Gen Con. They always have a booth in that main hall, and they're one of my favorite kind of accessible game type publishers. They're very much, this one looks like it's up that alley of Codenames with some co-op and competitive, but it looks like to me co-op is really going to be the sweet spot here. Again, they do great games at this weight. Last year or two, they put out Kites, which was among one of my favorite co-ops of that year. So what Landmarks is you're going to have this board, and it kind of almost looks like a Catan board where just basically have this board where it has all these different hexes. However, you're not playing Catan on this board. You're playing Landmarks. So you're going to have one person who's going to be the code giver, kind of like Codenames. But what they're going to be doing is each card that they get, it's going to have these symbols that correspond to the different hexes. And they're going to have 3 words already on it that they're going to write on a hex and throw it on a board. Now, where 2 hexagons kind of put together, you're going to be able to give these clues, and you're going to try to get them to guess where you're going to write a clue down on a hex, on a dry erase hex, and give it to your players. And then they're going to put it somewhere related to the words that are already out there. Now, of course, your cards are going to have things like mines or curses or good things like water. You only have a certain amount of tiles to get to the exit of each one of these maps. So you're trying to lead your players with 1-word clues, and then they're going to decide where these clues go. And of course, there's going to be bad things that happen if they put them in the wrong spot, or good things that happen if they put them there, and you're going to have to keep changing your words depending on where you want them to go. This looks fascinating, and it looks amazing. This is from Rodrigo Rigo and Danielo Valenti. Again, pretty quick playing, and it's just going to be one of those really fun things to do, just like Codenames. So look for this one to be on a lot of Game of the Year lists because it looks very fun. And that is Landmarks by Floodgate Games. Next up, Board and Dice is going to release a game called Minos, Dawn of the Bronze Age. This one should be out in October. Should be about $65 to $70. Not a whole lot is revealed about this one, but it looks like a nice heavyweight Euro Civ game. It says 1 to 4 players, and it's going to play in 2 or more hours. It looks like an Essen release, which will have probably more info before then. And I may mention it again, but anyway, it does look like those heavy Euros where it has some really cool, I'm kind of read a little bit of what it says here. You're going to draft and assign the dice to a programming board. With lower value dice, you can secure stronger actions, that the higher value dice will help you climb on the tracks and gain their benefits. During the action phase, each player takes their dice in order from highest to lowest in performing the pre-planned actions, and players will also build their tableau, and each card has an instant effect and triggered reward connected to a specific action or die value they can use to make action more powerful. Blah, 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 blah. It's got a lot of really cool things we've seen in a lot of other Civ games, kind of with that tableau building. And as you're building things, you're going to be revealing other symbols, which are going to give you other bonuses. Looks really, really cool. Designer is Stan Kordonsky. He did a few Valeria games, as well as Dice Hospital and Lockup, Role Player Tale, and Rurik. And of course, my favorite of this group is Old West Empresario, but it's a lot heavier than that. That's a very light kind of dice game with some tile laying, but it's really, really cool. And I think this one's going to be a good one. Again, check that one out. Minos, Dawn of the Bronze Age by Board and Dice. Deep Print Games will release Intarsia, a tile laying game. It's got some really cool table presence for this one. It's got another small game that'll be released in September. It's going to be earlier in Europe, and it's going to be earlier released, probably maybe in August in Europe, but this one is going to be released in the US by Pegasus. Might actually be October in the US. I'm not quite sure there. This is designed by Michael Kiesling, as you know, from Azul. So, of course, that's going to have a nice, easy, catchy gameplay with simple to learn rules generally, but deeper scoring. So the theme here is redesigning the floor of the Café de Paris or something, or whatever theme. Anyway, you take the shapes, they're going to interact with each other, and they're going to be pieced together and then scoring some points. So again, looks really good with table presence as far as the way these pieces are going to go together and the way you're going to kind of chain them together to get these patterns. And of course, with Kiesling, you know it's going to be very, very accessible, and it's going to have some really cool kind of scoring there. 2 to 4 players, plays in about an hour, kind of like one of these nice fillers. It's going to have that same Azul feel to it, but it looks great. That's Intarsia, which will be out later. So this next one is an interesting story that I saw a while back, but in some of this, again, is all from what I can kind of remember. So I believe Board Game Hub, I believe it was, that went out of business a few years ago and left kind of the successor to Tranquility, the Ascent. That one was unfulfilled from crowdfunding, and a bunch of people justifiably were not very happy. So if I recall correctly, Lucky Duck swooped in. Lucky Duck Games is a great company. They swooped in and saved the day by getting both of these titles under their umbrella, and they're going to basically be publishing both. They already published Tranquility, which was a pretty cool kind of game. It kind of has that the mind or the game feel to it. So Lucky Duck is going to publish Tranquility, the Ascent, which is kind of the smaller card game brother of Tranquility. That's going to be out in September. Should be about $15. And again, knowing Lucky Duck Game, they'll probably should have at least some. At least they're going to try to have some at Gen Con, I'm sure. Again, this is a smaller version of Tranquility, and it has that same the mind or the gameplay, because you're playing cards, which were kind of the tiles, into an array. You're trying to go ascending or descending or the same values without communicating. So anyway, this is a fun little experience or activity. It's hard to call these type things games, quote unquote, but still, it's something people really love. And it's something I would certainly try. And it wasn't really, the mind of the game weren't really my thing, but this one looks a little bit more appealing to me because of the way the game plays, a little bit more paths to success and a little bit more paths to play. And it seems like a bit more fun. So check that one out. Tranquility, the Ascent, hopefully at Gen Con or shortly after that by Lucky Duck Games. So I know next up, no one wants me to really mention it because it's some of those things that people hate, but it's almost that time of year. Yes, I love the holiday season, but I'm not really going to mention the holiday season. But before we get to that holiday season, see where I'm going with this? You're going to need to get to Halloween. And since I love advent calendars, again, this is all 6 degrees of Dan here. I love Halloween. I love Christmas. I love advent calendars. And I love advent calendars of all types. Anyway, I did mention that last year, Fanroll Dice had an advent calendar. And this year, Fanroll Dice has revealed a Halloween Dice advent calendar. This is going to be releasing in August for about $75. Which seems like a lot. It seems like a pretty steep price for this one, but hey, it still looks really cool. I guess, I don't know. I know a lot of, I got my daughter the holiday advent calendar last year, and they have some really cool dice, but some of these dice have things inside. So I guess kind of the way you can have, they're going to reportedly have things like bats or pumpkins or witches' hats. They're going to be inside these dice. So I guess that makes it a little bit more expensive. The Christmas one was about $50. This will be $75. Anyway, check that one out. I'll have a link on the show notes and use that coupon code that I've got, because I do have a little bit of a thing there with Fan Roll Dice that you sign up and a little bit will come my way. I think 5% or whatever comes my way. So never hurts to help out the show a little bit. Use the coupon code TheGeekAll10. That's TheGeekAll 10. And a little bit, again, will come my way. But anyway, just check it out anyway. You can see what other stuff you like at their website, because they've got a lot of cool stuff there as well. So a couple of quick hit games before we head into crowdfunding. UVS Games, they elaborated a bit more on their upcoming releases for the end of the year. I kind of mentioned them a couple months ago. The one that's coming up is Origins of Power. That's the second attack on Titan's booster set for Universus CCG. The first one being Battle of Humanity. That'll be out in November. The new My Hero Academia set will be out in October, and Star Trek Lower Deck set will be out in December. They're all should be pretty good additions to Universus CCG. I'm not one of those hardcore CCG guys, but I really love playing all sorts of CCGs and more of that sealed deck or pre-constructed deck kind of thing. So that's kind of what I love. I love to just grab a deck and play. So this Universus system, these decks are great, and his system is great. My daughter and I love playing these. She loves My Hero Academia, so we'll sometimes just grab one of those pre-constructeds and just play a few quick games of it. Easy in, easy out. The system is really perfect for that type of gameplay, especially when it has all these different IPs and really easy to learn rules and easy to remember rules too. Also from UVS, Star Trek Realms. I mentioned that again a couple months ago, but that's going to be out this fall. That's the Star Trek version of Star Realms. I can't stop mentioning it because it's something I'm really excited with. I love Star Trek. I love Star Realms, and that's a really cool marrying of these IPs or themes. So I'm sure I'll mention it again once I do have a little bit more information of an exact date, but I should be getting some of those before it comes out, and I may be able to talk about it at a later date about how it plays. Anyway, great stuff from UVS there. Arcade Wonders is going to release Foundations of Metropolis. That'll be out in August. It should be about $50. This is the lighter or more affordable Foundations of Rome. If you remember, Foundations of Rome is about $300. It's huge. It looks great. It plays great. In the game, you're acquiring land tiles in an auction draft style, and then you're building certain buildings, which are going to then trigger off each other and surrounding buildings for more money and more points. Again, Foundations of Rome is amazing, but at $300 or more, this version is going to be easier to pick up for some. And it's going to probably be easier to get to the table as well, because it's going to be a smaller version for you to play. So if you're just looking for that gameplay fix, Foundations of Metropolis is going to be a little bit better there, but it is always really cool to whip out Foundations of Rome and play it on the table. And finally here, Play to Z. That's that company with Bonacor and Zev Schlesinger and some other industry insiders. Play to Z is going to be releasing King's Coalition. That one will be out in September. I don't know if they'll have a booth. Knowing them, maybe they'll have some presence at Gen Con. Maybe they'll have a few of this. But this is a cool little card game. This will be out in September. $20, real small kind of card game. This has the feel of Fantasy Realms or Marvel Remix with kind of a unique twist. So you have like the hand of 7 cards. You're going to kind of grab a card, put it down. But during the game, the way things are scored is going to be revealed. So as you're kind of grabbing cards and putting them into your hand and putting another card back into the middle, kind of like that Fantasy Realms, you don't want to give other people better ways of scoring that may help them. But anyway, but you're still trying to improve your own hand. But it looks great, and that price is amazing. $20 for this type of card game seems about right, and seems like a pretty cool gameplay there. So check out King's Coalition in September. Now let's head into some crowdfunding. First, I want to mention one that I don't really have a link to, but it's going to be out on July 23rd. This is the Knicks campaign from Game Toppers LLC. I will put a link to their teaser video. They've got some more game mats. They've got some really cool, all of their Game Toppers have these kind of rails to it. And now they're putting some Game Toppers with some pretty cool artwork on the rails. So that's kind of something that's unique. I have a Watson Game Topper. It's amazing. And to have some art on the side that gives you a little bit more thematic on those rails is pretty damn cool. They also have some new mats that are coming out. They're going to kind of be almost like terrain for some of your CCG needs, or not CCG, I'm sorry, like your RPG or miniature needs. You'll have some terrain, and then they'll have some modular things that'll go with that. That goes on top of the different mats. I love their play mats. They're so cool. They're great. The amount of art that they have on them are so amazing. I've got 3 of them. I got a cobalt blue one. I've got a fantasy one. They all look really, really cool. So definitely check out the new Kickstarter, and I'll have a link to it in the next show, of course, but I'll have a link to their teaser video so you can see what the new stuff that they do have. First up, let's head on over to GameFound. So I want to talk about DC Superheroes United. I guess I don't really have to talk about it because everybody knows what Heroes United is, but this is the DC version there. They've got the Titan set for $100, and they've got kind of the Super Friends. I really want to see Legion of Superheroes. I'm sure everybody, all the spoilerites out there that really love the Legion Clubhouse really are like me and really want to see the version. I might actually buy the box if they do put out a Legion of Superheroes box. But for now, this does look really cool. So if you either have Marvel United and all the other things United, you may want to check this one out, DC Superheroes United, out up on GameFound. Next up, another pretty interesting one, but man, is it expensive. Sirens, the Deep Sea. They've got kind of this all-in thing, but it was a really cool co-op 1 to 4 player, kind of a narrative exploration board game that looks really cool. Just the gameplay, it looks just amazing on a table, and almost like it's kind of like a dungeon crawler, but in the open seas, quote unquote. So again, it's still scratching that itch, but it's sprawling, looks amazing. The system looks great. You got to check out this video because it is a pretty cool one. This is from Forgotten Tales. Looks amazing. And I do like kind of the co-op things, so I could play it solo. Last up in the GameFound, 20 Strong Tanglewoods. Chip Theory Games, they do Too Many Bones, so they have all those really nice chips, and they just have such great production value. But 20 Strong is a little bit different. It's kind of a dice rolling solo, really challenging game. So it's really cool that they've got a couple of different themes that they have to the 20 Strong series, but this is now bringing new universe and art from the same guy that did Manny Tremblay, who did Dice Throne. But this is a really cool solo. I love solo games, but this is a solo dice rolling game. This is only $30 to get in on there, and a really cool little theme that it's got for for the 20 Strong universe. So check that one out. Coming on over to Kickstarter. First up, we've got the Stefan Feld City Collection. You're going to have to get on this one pretty quick because it's only got about a week to go as of this recording. This is the Stefan Feld City Collection Classic Special Edition. This is all special edition by Queen Games for 3 different titles: Hamburg, Amsterdam, New York, and Marrakesh. Those are all great kind of revised games of old Stefan Feld's games, except Marrakesh really is its own standing drink. Now, Marrakesh is the one that I would really recommend because I love the game. It was my game of the year from last year. Absolutely amazing game about you're kind of using kind of tableau building, getting points, putting things on your tableau, but the way you play is you're taking kind of little chits. They're kind of little cylinders, and everybody's got to put a certain amount of cylinders into the kind of the cube tower, kind of like the Shogun cube tower in Amerigo. Kind of took some of the gameplay from Amerigo, but its own unique standing game, Marrakesh. And as you're dropping things in there, some cubes will stay in there, some of them will fall out, and that's going to be what's going to be the actions that are going to be available for that round. Again, all these games are amazing. They're all about $79, but the Marrakesh one is going to be, the first 2 are $79. Hamburg and Amsterdam. New York is $64, and Marrakesh is $89. It's got the dual layer boards. It's got the wooden components. It's got all the game trays. All of these have amazing game trays that help with these special editions. They just look amazing, all of these editions. I've seen all of these. A buddy of mine has all of these, kind of the special editions of the initial first print, and I've seen them all, and they look amazing. So this is probably just going to improve a little bit more. And of course, you can just, with this Kickstarter being a bit modular, you can get some of the add-ons, which you can get some of the acrylic rondelles for Amsterdam. You can get the coins, the metal coins. You can get some other metal coins for Hamburg. You can get basically the challenge coins from each one of these things as well, and then upgrade it. You could also get the expansion, which is really hard to find for Marrakesh, Camels and Nomads. I can't find it anywhere. It's only $49 if you want to get it with this campaign. And then it does have a little bit of the upgrade kits, which are a lot cheaper if you have the first edition and you want to get some of the extra upgrades. Anyway, that's the Stefan Feld City Collection by Queen Games. They do a lot of good stuff with these Queen Games. Anyway, next up, Brink. I've got 2 more left and we'll get out of here. Brink, this is a really cool worker placement game. They say shape the legacy of the Moonrakers in our new standalone worker placement game filled with diplomacy, trading, and exploration. This has got about a week to go. It is well funded, $900,000 plus. This is from IV Studios. Now, it's going to be a different game than Moonrakers, but it does have that same kind of universe and feel. But this looks like a really cool, kind of deep. I'm not really a big guy when it comes to Hidden Trader, and they say they take this a little bit, take that out of the game here. This is a worker placement game of diplomacy, trading, and exploration set in the Moonrakers universe. 2 to 5 players, plays in about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Now, it looks, watching video and looking at some of the gameplay of this, I do like some of the trading. I do like social elements of trading in a game, and then some kind of hidden voting, which will influence the game a bit. So this has everything I really want. And of course, more game trays and more amazing looking kind of minis. Or kind of, I guess, pieces. I guess they're not minis. They're kind of miniature pieces. The game looks sprawling and really, really looks nice on a table. $79 to get in on there. And of course, you got a deluxe edition for about $120 and a super deluxe edition. Why not? For $170 if you're so inclined. Let's head on down for the last one here. Wandering Galaxy, a Crossroads game. This is by, of course, Black Hat Games, who's done all of the Crossroad games. I've always kind of really had a soft spot in my heart because I always loved Dead of Winter when it first came out. I really loved the system of the Crossroads system. And during COVID, my family and I played a ton of Gen 7, which is a Crossroads game that's kind of set in space. And Wandering Galaxy kind of has that, it looks to me like even more improvements and streamlining of the system with kind of using kind of the storybook system where it's kind of combined things that they have from the other I guess Stuffed Fables. I guess they did this with the storybook system, but this game looks really good. A little bit about it. The Wandering Galaxy Crossroad Games is a narrative sci-fi game where you and a few people who tolerate one another play the roles of hopeful spacers who dream of getting rich and famous while staying alive doing so. Choose a species for your character, build a background for them, then select a unique station on a ship to control, play with your personal deck of cards, and customize it every playthrough as your character finds gear, makes friends, and learns valuable new skills. Looks really cool. I got to say, the art is amazing. And again, as they keep improving on this system more and more, I think this is going to be really good. And at $60, that's a really good price point there. Of course, there's other where you can get in. You can get freelancers with Wandering Galaxy. You can get Forgotten Waters with this. There's also a retailer pledge and a Crossroads bundle for $130, where you get Forgotten Waters, freelancers, and Wandering Galaxy. Just get Wandering Galaxy. Just go ahead and just grab that one for, like I said, $60 is a pretty good deal there. So definitely check that one out. Again, it is well funded with about 3.5 weeks to go as of this recording. Thanks for joining me today. I know that was a lot. I know I kind of went pretty fast, so hopefully you like everything. And if you need to go to the show notes for any of the links, I will have all the links in the show notes on majorspoilers.com. If you see any news you think I'd like to feature, just go ahead and shoot me a message at GeekJockDan on Twitter. And of course, head on over to the Major Spoilers Discord, where I love to chat all about board games. Also, please check out majorspoilers.com for more content by Stephen and the rest of the Major Spoilers crew. And check out the Geek All-Stars podcast, where I rant about all sorts of things and nothing like I did today. As always, I am Dan, the Board Game Man. I'll see everyone in a couple weeks. Will likely be a mashup of Top 5 and Munchkin Land, as I think I might do kind of a Top 5 to try and buy at Gen Con this year. So again, we'll see everyone in a couple weeks for something, for a more Munchkin Minute.
This podcast is copyright 2024 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.